Welcome to Conversations with Teresa and Britton Joy. We are so thrilled to have you back with us. We have been talking about women of purpose and power, understanding what that means, and
That's right.
hopefully we are going to give you what you need, okay, in order to figure out, well, what is my purpose?
Right.
Where does my power come from? Am I even walking in my purpose?
And what does power mean?
What does power
Power
mean?
means many different things.
Exactly.
So what kind of power are we talking about?
Exactly. So we have chosen to go through the 90-day devotional by the same name, A Woman of Purpose and Power by Dr. Miles Monroe. And this has been a life-changing devotional.
Yes, I agree.
Yeah.
I agree.
I mean, I thought I kind of knew, kind of sort of knew, like I knew what my passions were, but here's the question: are your passions in alignment with your purpose?
No. Do passion equal power?
Right.
Or does passion equal power, I should say. I mean,
Yeah. I mean,
yeah,
does it?
I don't know. Let's find out.
Let's find out. So we are on chapter 2. And so we're going to go through chapter 2 and we are going to discuss as we go.
Okay.
And hopefully we hit upon something that gives you that aha or wow, I never thought about it from that viewpoint aspect or anything else like that.
Exactly.
So let's jump on in.
Okay. And a recap, right? Should we do a
Yeah, let's do a little recap of what
Okay.
we talked about last week.
Do you know where you're headed?
Do you? We think we do. And I think when we get a little bit older, we really think that, yeah, I do. But you know, it's really interesting when women sort of hit these milestones like the empty nest syndrome and like even things like menopause or divorce or you know a death of a spouse,
Right.
whatever the case may
Right.
be, you find out, oh, maybe I don't know where I am going, have no
Or even who I am?
who am I? You know how many women have completely lost their identity and like totally lose it when their kids go off to college or get married, and they're the ones who become the annoying mother-in-law because they don't have their own life.
Right. So they're
Because
still
they
incorporating themselves.
right, because they found their whole purpose, so they think, in their raising their children and being in their lives, but no.
Right, right. Exactly.
Yeah.
So let's move ahead.
Yeah, let's do this.
Okay. So we have day 2. Okay. Seeking identity, which is what we're talking about. Who,
Yes.
you know, where
Yes.
do we get our
Yeah, where
identity?
do we seek it from? Who
Right.
do we seek it from? Do
Right.
we seek our identity from our parents, our
Right.
teachers, our spouses, our children,
Right.
our peers, our co-workers? Where? Who?
Right.
Let's find
Where do
out.
we get?
Let's talk about
Let's
that.
talk about that. I agree. So we're going to start with 1 Corinthians chapter 2, verse 12. We have not received the spirit of the world, but the Spirit who is from God, that we may understand what God has freely given us.
Freely.
Freely is the key word.
Yes, it is.
You know, a lot of people, you know, everybody says there's nothing there's nothing in life that's free. And in life and in this world,
Right.
yes.
In the natural, that is very true.
But in the spirit, it
That's
is.
not- it's not true like that.
Okay.
It really, it is, there is free.
It is. So it says, there is a tremendous pull by our culture for women to seek identity in all the wrong places. A woman's true identity is not in her intelligence, her appearance, her wealth, her job, others' opinions, or even her husband and children. We can
pretty sure-
unpack that a little
Yeah,
bit.
I'm pretty sure we could.
We can unpack that. So Intelligence. Those that us, maybe we've been perceived as, intelligent, and we were really good in school, and so that's what's kind of driven us through. Or maybe we didn't do so well in school, and so we don't, our identity is, believe it or not, the opposite. We don't think we're intelligent, so we don't think that we can be
Right.
right.
That's very true. Right. That is extremely true.
Wealth.
Yeah, we see where that gets us.
Yeah, that gets us. Yeah, I mean, there's nothing wrong with wealth.
No, not at all. Just the opposite, actually.
Right.
But if you think that your identity lies in how much money you have in your bank account, how much real estate you own, how many stocks, bonds, cryptocurrency, or anything else that you have, God forbid, that all disappears.
And there have been points in history when it has.
Right. What do you do? Do you do like the men back in 1929 when they went up to the top of the Chrysler building and all of the other buildings in the city and other cities and committed suicide because they thought they lost it all because their identity was wrapped up in their money, their wealth.
Right, exactly. Or you can tie it because it talks about her husband and children.
Right.
And that's kind of jumping ahead of some of the other ones, but I just thought about this wealth that a woman, or, say not all women, but say that there's a woman that she seeks out a man of wealth
Okay.
to give her identity.
Right.
And his money becomes her identity. What
Yeah.
happens when he finds someone else, if he does,
Right.
and divorces her?
Right. What if he what if he gets
What
sick
if he
and
dies?
passes away? What?
And then what?
Right.
And then what?
You may, but see, here's the thing. What if he does pass away, right? And he leaves a really substantial will, and he leaves you a substantial yearly allowance, so to speak. Because your identity was wrapped up in not only his money, but in him, that supposed security is not going to make you feel any more secure. Your identity is still going to be lagging because you've lost a part of your identity.
Right.
You only have the tangible, that the
Right.
financial part of it,
Right.
and that's not going to feed you in any way. So then, what do? How do you handle that?
Do
so
you
you
look
have
for
money,
another man?
right?
That's not
Do-
going to be.
So what do? You shop. You travel, but you're still unfulfilled.
Right.
So was marrying that man your purpose? Was marrying that man your identity?
Right. Yeah. Food for thought.
Yes.
Okay. Job. And others' opinions.
Please.
Everybody's got an opinion, honey. Everybody's got an opinion on something,
Yeah.
no matter what.
Exactly.
Everybody's got an opinion on.
Right.
I mean, even the smallest detail, they have an opinion, and some people don't mind sharing their opinion with you.
Yeah, I know. So if you are wrapped up in the opinion of others, they will destroy you.
They will.
Plain and simple, they will destroy you. And you know what? It's not their fault because you have opened the door for them to do so. You gave them permission. You taught them how to treat you.
That's right. You've given them your power,
Right.
and they have gladly taken it.
Oh, absolutely. 100%. 100%.
Yeah, exactly. And then we said husband, children.
Yeah.
When we go, and then when the children leave, I know I struggled with it. I'll be honest. I keep forgetting about the mic. We have new mics. Yes, we do. Hopefully you can hear us better.
Yes.
But I struggled when the kids first left. And, my kids would say, Mom, you got to get a life. You got to get a life. But you know what? They were right.
Yeah.
They were, I got to admit it, they
Yeah.
were right.
Right.
So.
Yes, my children still tell me I need to get a life. I love you guys.
I got a life.
Right. I'm doing it.
We're doing it. If you don't understand yourself, you don't yet possess yourself. That is why people who don't know who they are imitate other people and become someone other than who they were created to be. We've all done it. We've all done it.
Right. The interesting thing to me is this. When we see little children imitating other children or TV characters or whatever, what do we tell them? Oh, no, that's not who you are. Be yourself. We are always telling the little kids, oh no, be yourself. But somewhere along the line, we become adults and all of a sudden we forget be yourself and we try to emulate and imitate and all of these other things, people who we have put on pedestals, who we think they have it, they've made it, they've whatever the case may be. And we start trying to find our identity in people, some people we don't even know. We watch them on TV and we want to put take our identity from them.
Even, I mean, live or even a character.
Right.
I mean, we may relate to a character. That's, any good actor will have you be able to incorporate that and be able to identify.
Right.
But that's not who you are.
That's not who you are.
Okay, so let's see. If you don't know what you were born to be and do, then you become a victim of other people's opinions. Understanding who made you and who you are is crucial so that others do not take possession of your life. When you have understanding, you know what to do with your life. That's take possession of your life.
Right. Yeah.
So again, giving the power away. We have one life to live. That's what everybody says, right? One life to live. Why would we want to do or be anything but who we were created to be?
Because we've been raised once again with this conflicting message. Be little Johnny. Be who you are, little Johnny. And then when little Johnny turns 7 or 8, mom or dad says to little Johnny, I don't understand why you can't be like Billy down the road.
Worst thing you could say to your kids, by the way. Just want to say.
So now the child is completely confused because you told me I shouldn't be, so I'm trying to be me, but now you want me to be Billy down the road. Who do you want me to be?
Right.
You're telling me that I'm not good enough.
Right.
Who I was created to be. I'm not good enough, so now I really don't know who I am.
Right. And we've just created, as a parent at that time, confusion, and we know who the author of confusion is.
Yes.
That doesn't mean that you're, a follower of, the enemy. It just means that at that particular time. Yeah.
We're not calling you the devil.
We are not. It just means that at that particular time, unknowingly,
Yes.
you were used.
Right.
And we can every one of us have been used at some point in our life.
Absolutely, 100%.
Right. Because you had good intentions.
Yeah.
In some way you did.
Well, basically what you were saying is I want you to be more like Billy in this aspect. And if you had said it that way, like Billy is very conscientious when it comes to taking out the garbage. I would love for you to be more like that. Well, then that's really explaining to the child that, okay, it's not a matter of that you don't like me or anything else like that, but you want me to be more responsible. And little Billy is a good example of being responsible.
Right.
So I should try to emulate that. That's completely different
Right.
than to keep hounding the child. Why can't you be like so-and-so? Why can't you be like so-and-so? Trust me, I know what I'm talking about.
Yeah. Yeah. And well, I was thinking too, where the word talks about being Christ-like.
Right.
Okay, so that is imitating right?
But that's who
Christ.
we are
But
supposed.
That's who we're supposed to imitate. That's who
That's
we're
the
supposed to be like.
the only person we are to imitate. That's it.
So let's see. I also like understanding who made you and who you are is crucial so that others do not take possession of your life. So you basically, again, are giving away power. You're giving away your life, your essence.
It happens in virtually every marriage.
I would agree with you.
And I know you all don't like me for saying that, but it's true. Absolutely 100% true. It happens in every relationship in one way or another, but I think marriage is probably one of the relationships where it's so obvious and evident.
Right. And that can go either way.
Right. So it doesn't necessarily mean that the man is the one who's perpetrating that. It could be the wife who's perpetrating.
That's right.
And basically, saying your identity revolves around
Right. Emasculating him, so to speak.
Exactly. Yes. Right.
So, and any sons if you have them.
Right. Yeah.
A woman first needs to find her identity in who she is in Christ. We just said that. God's beloved child. That's who we are. We're God's beloved children. You're God's beloved child. You're his, if you're a woman watching the show, you're his daughter. Think about that. The creator of everything chose to call you his daughter or his son through his son, Jesus Christ. That's pretty wild. It's amazing. It is only as she does this that she can be fulfilled and carry out his plans for her, regardless of what culture and society may say to the contrary. The highest worth and dignity were given to women by God in creation. So when he created us, he gave us our identity, our purpose. It's there. It is there in that still small voice.
One must seek. Okay, he's not going to scream it at you. He's not going to write it on your living room wall. Okay.
No, you're not going to
He's
find the hand.
Send the archangel somebody down to, and behold, this is your purpose. No, it doesn't work that way.
No, it doesn't work that way. You might be drawn to something. Let's say that, let's say that you're drawn to helping young mothers that don't have a partner. Right.
Okay.
And they, so you as a mature woman or an older woman or maybe close to the same age, but maybe you have a heart for that. Maybe you realize that, I want to give more. I want to be able to bring them along in child rearing, in how to be, how to parent, because a lot of us, myself included, parenting class would have helped me. I think a parenting class would have helped. I think there's nothing wrong in saying that,
No, absolutely not. It probably should be mandatory, regardless of whether you grew up in a great home that was parented properly according to you. Everybody should have a parenting class.
Exactly. It's not saying that you can't parent or I can't parent.
Isn't it interesting that we have to take classes to learn how to drive? We have to be licensed to learn how to drive. Okay, but yet it's a piece of metal that is in our possession. Okay, we have to learn how to take care of it and all of those things. But yet there's no licensing to be a parent. Any old person can be a parent. That to me is really scary.
Right, and the thing is, people would say, well, that's so intrusive, then the government is coming in. That's not what we're saying. That's not what we're saying. What we're saying is, listen, a lot of the material given is useful in making sure that, your child grows up in a healthy environment.
Right.
I just really think it would have been really helpful. I would have benefited from that.
According to me, I think I was raised pretty good. Okay. But the thing is, when you have your own child, you realize that there's a lot of stuff you don't know. Doesn't matter that you were raised okay. There's stuff you don't know about raising a baby.
Right. You can, you can learn the physical, how to feed them, how to change them.
Yeah, but there's
but there's so much more to that.
Yes.
So much more. How about the emotional needs? How to make sure every step of the way,
Nobody
there's,
teaches that one. This is why we have so many messed up adults now.
yeah, here we are.
Here we are.
Okay. Yeah, because I'm, I can relate. Okay, when a woman submits to God, Christ will work in her and through her by His Spirit. So, but what's the criteria? When a woman submits to God.
Right. Didn't say man. Didn't say
To God.
Say Tom, who you're dating.
Right.
It didn't say your husband Jack.
Right. Submit
Didn't say
to
your
God.
father
Your brother.
or your brother.
Submitting to God. And how do you submit to God? You have to know His Word. And you have to have that quiet time to know what He's speaking to you.
Ladies, turn off the housewives. Turn off all the
Oh,
Get
it's hard.
off YouTube.
Oh, that's a
okay?
hard one for me. I YouTube
Get off
everything.
Pinterest. Get off TikTok and Instagram and Facebook. And spend some quiet time listening. Nobody asked you to talk. Listen. Because God is constantly talking. See, that's the thing. He's constantly in communication with us. It's us who shuts Him out. And then we go, I can't hear God. He hasn't talked to me. Well, no,
Right.
He's been talking the whole time. It's you who has not been listening.
Right.
It is you who's been drowning Him out with all of the minutia of life. Stop it.
Right.
Stop.
Sit quiet.
Yes.
You know, when your kids are younger and they go off to to school, and if you're a stay-at-home mom, okay, I understand if you have to work, because I had to work,
Yeah, I
great.
worked a few hours.
And Sasha is working right now
Yes, she
in
is.
protection mode. Yes, she says it's a dog's job. But Sasha, I lost my train of thought. Where was
when
I?
the kids go off to school for
Right.
the first time, and you are a stay-at-home mom, and you are home,
Take that time.
it
Don't
is a
put it on the
beautiful
TV.
thing.
Oh, it really is.
Bask in that. It's a lovely thing. To hear nothing but quiet.
It's nice. And when you sit with your cup of tea,
Yes. You can hear yourself think. When was the last time you heard yourself think?
take time for yourself.
You don't know what you're missing.
Oh, it's good stuff.
You don't know.
Yeah, it's good stuff. I mean, I really haven't had the TV on it. Well, I don't need
not
the
necessary.
TV. It's not necessary. I can.
It's a distraction.
It is
That's
very
what
much
it
a
is.
distraction.
Entertainment. Yes, we all need a little entertainment, but for the most
Little,
part,
keyword.
we have taken entertainment and made it our God, and it
Yes.
drowns out everything.
Yes. And now, even more so, we have so much. I'm guilty of that.
Okay, but here's the thing. These are two you're hearing this from two women who are in the entertainment industry. So if we're telling you that,
Right.
then you know that it really has to be a problem, and you really need to dial it back.
Exactly.
Dial it back.
Exactly. And it is, I'm kind of, going off, but it's an addiction.
Oh,
We
yes.
don't recognize it as an addiction,
Yeah.
but having to have something constantly on, or constantly being in contact, or constantly being on Facebook, it's an addiction.
And it's an avoidance.
Mm-hmm.
You don't, because you are avoiding what you need to face and deal with.
Exactly. And if you do have trouble doing that, I'm a big believer in therapy.
Yes.
Go and talk to somebody, even if it's just your friend.
100%. 100%.
So in this way, okay, so it says, when a woman submits to God, Christ will work in her and through her by His Spirit. In this way, she will be enabled to accomplish all Not some, not part.
Right.
All the purposes he has for her, but in his strength, not her own. I think that's really the key. In his strength.
Oh yeah, absolutely, 100%.
Okay.
Yeah, absolutely. I agree 100. Absolutely.
You may be missing out in regard to fulfilling the specific purposes for which you were created. God is saying to you, I want you to stop trying to be like someone else and be who you are. Okay?
Yeah, how about
And
being
you know what? You're okay. You're a beautiful person. I'm quirky. I've learned to embrace my quirkiness.
I'm quirky too.
I'm
I'm a nerd.
I'm,
Who would have thought? I'm just like, you know.
no, follow us around for a few days.
Yeah.
The Apostle Paul said, follow my example as I follow the example of Christ. 1 Corinthians
Right.
11:1.
Exactly.
And you guys can write these references down. You can go back and look at them yourself.
absolutely.
And in your quiet time, ask God, you know. In other words, when I look like Christ, when I look like Christ, imitate me.
That's good.
Right?
So the only time you should imitate another person is if they look like Christ.
Right. Right.
That's it.
Right.
There's nothing else to imitate. There's nothing else to emulate.
And you'll know based on if you've had that quiet time and been in the Word,
Absolutely.
you will have the discernment to know whether that's a true follower and someone that you should imitate
Right.
or you
Just
know,
lip
I'm not talking about
service.
putting on a pedestal.
No.
But just, you know, kind of like a mentor.
Yes.
Okay.
And there's nothing wrong with mentors and
Nothing at all.
coaching and therapy. Just saying.
It's good stuff.
It is.
When I look like, okay, let me go on. The only thing we are to imitate of what we see in other people is the life of Christ, is what we
Absolutely.
said.
Yes.
And when they say life of Christ, well, what did he portray in his life,
Exactly.
right? God has special plans for you. Yes, he does. You may not believe that, and you may not feel it even,
Yeah.
but he does. If you will seek to become who he created you to be. So you have to seek it,
Yes.
right? You have to believe it, that he has something. Then you have
Right.
to seek it.
Yes.
He has given you your personality and gifts for a specific reason.
So don't be afraid to say, God, I really don't know. What is the reason? Show me what I'm supposed to do. Open the doors, you know, help me to gravitate towards those things that you have called me to do and be a part of. Who am I supposed to be? What is my personality?
Yeah. And embrace your personality.
Right. Because he
You
gave it
know,
to you
he
for
gave
a
it
reason.
to you for a reason.
You know?
You're special. You're unique. So God has plans for you. All right. He's given you your personality and gifts for a specific reason. And so Ephesians 2, chapter 2, verse 10 says, for we are God's handiwork, created in Christ Jesus to do good works. Not just works.
Good.
Good works. Well, what are good works? What did Jesus do? He helped others.
Right.
Which God prepared in advance for us to do. So that tells you that he had a plan before you even were conceived.
Before the foundation of the world.
Before mommy and daddy had a twinkle in their eye.
Exactly. And who knows if they really had a twinkle? We don't know. That's not the point.
Twinkle,
the
twinkle.
point, the point is before the foundation
Right.
of the earth. Okay. There's nothing that God ever created that he didn't purpose first.
Good.
If it didn't have a purpose, he didn't create it.
Right.
If it didn't have a purpose, he didn't create it. Which means all of us who are here, he purposed us first. Then he created us to fit the purpose, not the other way around.
Right. So there are no accidents.
There are no accidents. Okay, so those of you older people, parents, grandparents,
Right.
who have said to your daughter, granddaughter, great-granddaughter, sister, cousin, whoever, when they came home and said, oh my gosh, I'm pregnant, and you turned around and you said to them, well, that was a mistake, blah, 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 blah. No, see, God already knew before the foundation of the earth that that child was going to have a child. It wasn't a mistake. It seems like an out of alignment mistake to you, but God already gave that child a purpose. And then he allowed that child to be created.
Correct.
So you have no right to turn around and say, like, you know, this child is a bastard, or this child is, you know, is not worthy or unwanted, or any of those other things, or this was a mistake. No,
There are no mistakes.
There are no mistakes.
No mistakes.
And you
There
need
is
to
a
stop
purpose.
saying that
I
kind
agree.
of stuff. Do not speak death, because you're speaking
That's
death.
right.
Stop it.
Right. Even if the
Yes.
thought pops into your head, do not speak
Right.
it out.
And if you have already said it, please repent. Please repent, and then ask God to reverse that curse that you spoke out of your
Right.
mouth.
Right.
Because he will. But you need to say something and do something, because that's on you now.
Exactly. That's true. And I know we want to wrap
We're
it up.
gonna
but
wrap soon,
We're going
yeah.
to wrap soon, but I just wanted to, you know, when we were talking about this, this is a prime example. When David was not where he should be, okay, he kind of stayed around the house a little more, and rather than
He was dallying.
he was dilly-dallying, and yes,
Yes.
and he saw, you know,
Bathsheba.
yeah, taking a bath,
Right.
Bathsheba.
Yeah.
And he liked Bathsheba. So what did he do? Of course, he had intimate relations with Bathsheba. And we all know what, you know, if you know the story, you know, and you're familiar with it, he had Solomon through that. Solomon was through, you know, like an outside marriage.
Right. So he was an
Reunion.
illegitimate. So, that's what I was
And he
gonna
was
say.
used.
Right.
He built the temple.
Thank you. So, okay, so that was the word I was looking for. Thank you. So, all of you who keep saying this child is illegitimate, this child is illegitimate, this
Think
child,
about Solomon.
the child is not illegitimate. Your train of thought's illegitimate, but not the child.
Not the child.
And then look at Solomon. That's correct, because if Solomon had been treated as though he were illegitimate, we would not have the Song of Solomon in the Bible.
And all of the wisdom.
Right, that comes from Proverbs.
That's right. And God knew what was going to happen.
Of course.
And he took what would be someone would consider devastating, and he turned, it wasn't, he used the illegitimate child.
Right.
David didn't build the temple because there was too much blood on his hands, he
Right.
said.
His son did it.
And he didn't use a son that was within
Right.
the part. He used Bathsheba's and David's son.
Right. So and so, okay. So let's look at that for a second. God knew that David was going to do what he did. Okay. But yet God said, "This is a man after my own heart." Number
Right.
one. Number
Right.
two, God knew what David was going to do. But yet, God had already purposed that Solomon would be born.
That's right.
And he said he knew what Solomon was supposed to do, so he allowed Solomon to be created.
Exactly.
Not the other way around.
Exactly.
Solomon wasn't born, and then God said, "Oh shoot, we got a kid
Gotta come up with
here.
a plan.
We got to come up with a plan."
What are we going to do with him?
Right. God didn't know. God had a plan, and then he
Right.
allowed Solomon to be created.
Exactly.
You all got to get this, because if you don't get this, you're going to have a really difficult time embracing some of the things that God does, because they're not they don't make sense to us.
Right. Right.
And you're going to miss out on what God is doing. Can you imagine if everybody had like sort of turned their back on David and Bathsheba and Solomon and shunned them and said, "Oh, you can't lead us.
Right.
We're never going to listen to
'Cause you're illegitimate.
you.
Well, your son was illegitimate.
Right. And so we're just going to ignore everything. There would be, like I said, there would be no Proverbs, there would be no Song of Solomon, there would be
No temple.
No temple.
There would have been no
There'd be
temple.
nothing. Do you realize that? How that changed the course of history because it did happen?
So think about when somebody comes home and says, I'm pregnant.
Right.
Think about,
You need to say, okay, God, what is the purpose? What is the purpose? Show us the purpose. Because you knew this was going to happen.
exactly,
So show us the purpose.
exactly. I like that. Okay, so we did the scripture verse for okay. So here's a thought. God made you unique because of the purpose he had in mind for you. So just be you.
Exactly.
You know, and I realize when we're young and we're teenagers, we want to imitate and we want to be, but just go back to that childlike place of what resonated in you, what you enjoyed
Right, because
doing.
actually as a child, we were more in touch with our purpose, and it wasn't until we got to school and we got a little bit older that our purpose became perverted.
Miscued and
Yeah, messed up, perverted, yeah, everything. Right.
yeah, I've been down a few of those paths.
We all have.
Yeah. So for our readings, if you want to write this down for the week, Psalm 139, verse 13 through 18, and then Galatians chapter 2, verse 20.
Wonderful. Awesome. Well, thank you for joining us. We sincerely hope that this dialogue has, if nothing more, has made you think.
Exactly. Exactly.
And you will take the time to make some quiet time for yourself. And spend some time, get a journal, you know. Ask God, what is my purpose? Even if you think you know your purpose, ask God what is your purpose, because it may not be what you think. And I'm talking to some of you who are pastors, evangelists, and prophets, okay? You may think, oh, I know my calling, I know my purpose, but I beg to differ in the sense that when was the last time you double checked to make sure that you were still on the path that God intended for you to be on?
That's a good
Ask
question.
yourself that question. Okay, until next time, bye-bye.
Bye. Thanks for joining us.
Yes, thank you.